Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? Just give me a quick wave, say hello. I'm just testing this out. Everything tells me you can hear me, but you never know unless I get a confirmation. All right. Oof. Let's see that. That seems to be working. All right, that's awesome, Eric. Yeah, so we'll definitely start with Webflow and Memberstack, and then Airtable and Zapier and things like that are just kind of add-ons or cool stuff that we're going to be adding into the dashboard. So that's awesome. So I'm actually just going to, kick this off. So here we go. All right. Welcome everyone to Automate All the Things live stream, I think number 7 or 8. I'm not too sure anymore where we're at. I know we had one last week that didn't go so well. So that one's not public. So I'm still counting it. So I think we're at 7. So yeah, if you're in the chat, let me know. Say hi. I'm excited to have you here. And I'm excited to show you what we can build with Memberstack, Webflow, and then Airtable, Zapier, and Google Sheets as add-ons here. So this is something I've been using myself. I work as a customer success manager, and a big part of my job is updating our clients on how their products are performing and things like that. And I realized that I spend way too much time just updating everyone. And so I created this dashboard where everyone can kind of log in and see all their data at once, so that you don't need to reach out to me as much as I enjoy talking to all of them. So we're going to recreate part of that. So this is going to be a client dashboard where you're going to put behind the login whatever you want. And that login is going to be powered by Memberstack, and Webflow is going to be our front end and just our experience. Oh, let me put it up a little bit. How's that? Is that better? Let me know if the audio is better like this, and I'll just make sure to speak into the mic. That should be better, actually. Let me know. So kicking this off, let me go into, okay, let me check. Let me try to fix that. Give me a sec here. Okay. Let me try to fix the audio here. Just give me a second. Okay. All right. So this should be better. So I've just kind of reduced the suppression I have for background noises. So let me know if the audio ever goes dark on you guys. Okay, so, and also while we're here, say hi, tell me who you are, how you got here, what you're interested in learning, and I'll try to incorporate that as much as I can. So what we're first gonna do is we have our, our simple Webflow website here. Oops, my mouse. There we go. And what we want to add is just a client login, right? So we want to be able to give clients the opportunity to log in and have some kind of hidden content. What that hidden content is going to look like is this right here, this clients template, right? So we're going to have tasks, project, contract, assets, things like that. So I've taken the Memberstack, client template, and I've adjusted it a little bit to do some cool stuff with it. So our first goal is just going to be setting that up. So going through the Memberstack onboarding, which is great. And then we're gonna, do some cool stuff in the dashboard itself. So we're gonna add an Airtable embed for tasks. So imagine you're a freelancer and you've got tasks and you want to update your clients specifically on tasks that relate to them. We're gonna do that. And then, show them their website, their staging website directly from your dashboard, which I think is cool as well. Add some contracts in there. So that should take a little bit of time. And then, the challenge here at the end is going to be creating a Google Sheet behind. That's gonna be, when I say behind, I mean it's gonna be kind of a backend to our dashboard, where every time you change some kind of value in that Google Sheet, it's gonna update in the dashboard. So that's gonna be a little bit more of a challenge, both getting that up and running. So hopefully we get there as quickly as possible. And I think that's actually one of the cool things you can do with Memberstack through its integration with Zapier. Unfortunately, you can't do it with Airtable. We're going to do it with Google Sheets. And then if we have some time at the end, which I doubt, I did this cool thing where you can trigger chatbots directly from the dashboard. If I don't have time, I'll share how to do it in the notes of the video. Hey, Matthew. Hey, Duncan. Good to hear it. I'm always a little stressed out because Duncan is the founder of Memberstack. So I feel like if I mess up, I'm it's like peering eyes, right? It's stressful. So okay, let's get started here. So very simple website we have in Webflow, just a landing page or home page, login, sign up, and then what we're gonna hide is this clients template. That's gonna be our dashboard. So let's go through Memberstack. So what I've done is I've taken the client template that Memberstack provides, adapted it to what I want, but I still want to go through each step of the onboarding with you. So kind of talking about what each step means and what it does. So when you're building your own dashboard, you'll kind of go through it as well. So first step is hiding content. So what we want to do here is define what areas of our website should be inaccessible to anyone who's not under a specific tier. But before we associate tiers and what's hidden, we just defined the different hidden content, right? So by default, the Memberstack template hides client area. So if we come here, it's going to hide everything that's in this past client area. So if I come here and I go to staging, oh, I don't have access because I'm not logged in, but you understand the point, /client area. So what we want to change this, or I'll add another one, is our CMS. So we want to hide everything that's in this CMS. And if we look at how this CMS is built, we look at the slug here. So it's /clients/client name. So what we're going to hide is anything that starts with /client, right? So we're going to add that as a hidden page. Whoops, didn't copy. There we go. /client starts with, and then we redirect to access denied. So let's just make sure that that works correctly. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to try to access client 1, and that works. Oh, it's because I don't have the script set up. So I'll do that now. Again, I can see Duncan's peering eyes through the stream whenever I make a mistake. So I don't have the header code, so we're just gonna keep going. Oh, actually I didn't publish either. So that's probably it. Let me try to publish. Let's try to access that. No, I still have it. It's probably because of the header. So let's keep going through the sign up, and then when we go to the header, we'll test it out. So we only want one membership, so on the free tier. And the reason we want just the free tier is because clients are already paying us, so we don't necessarily want them we don't have a subscription on top. But if you do want some kind of client dashboard where you're on a retainer, so I've seen that happen as well. Let's say someone pays you $2,000 a month or whatever, and that's your standard retainer. You can actually integrate the payment through Memberstack. And that way they handle both the subscription and the payment. In this case, we're not going to put any payment in place because this is more of a, hey, I freelance on the side and I want to give you access to the dashboard. So that's really the use case we're focused on. So we're just going to create a free tier called Client Membership. And then you have a members only content, right? So I've associated this hidden content with this membership. So whenever someone accesses this client membership, or actually what we're going to do is at the end, we're not going to make the sign up page public. We're only going to allow certain members to come in, and we're going to sign up for them as freelancers. So we're going to give them access to client area, and what we want to do is actually page after sign up. It doesn't really matter because we're going to sign users ourselves. So this doesn't really matter. And then that's all good. Save and close. Yeah, I don't know if it's user testing. It's more of like, I think half the people come here to learn and the other half probably come to just see me sweat. So I don't know. You can tell me which group you're in. All right. So usually when you, yeah, so I'm just going to skip this stuff. So far we've created a membership. We've hidden some content. And then we're going to have our sign up form. So this is going to be our sign up page. You'll see we have first name, last name, email, password, and then we have in our sign up first name, last name, and then you have launch, budget, and spend, which are variables that are kind of in Memberstack's template because they go into the CMS. So if we go into the CMS here, you'll see that there's starting budget, total spend, and that kind of information, and launch date as well. But these are hidden from users, right? So hide from profiles. So that's all good to go. Hopefully I didn't change anything. And how you set up this sign up page is that you copy this MS sign up attribute, right? So you give it the attribute MS sign up value equal true. So if we go to the sign up page, come here, we go to the form, settings, MS sign up equal true. So that's how Memberstack recognizes that this is our sign up page, or sign up form, I should say. And you can move this anywhere. You can move into a modal. You can do whatever you want. And what we're doing is we're not including it on our homepage. And what I've been doing with this for my clients is essentially when I get a client, I sign up for them, and then I send them a page, send them the login page, and ask them to reset their password. So where are we? Here we go. Okay. So login, similar, functionality. We just need to put the MS login and value equal true. So coming back here, going through Memberstack form settings. Let's add that in there. MS login, true, save, let's publish. And then let's test it out. So am I going too fast? Oh, these are not found. Oh, okay, because I changed the URL. Let's go here. What's the URL slash? Oh, it's because old home. Actually, let me just change that. Settings. This is going to be our login page. Save. Publish. Whenever I see that red, I get really stressed out. Hopefully this works. Login. Oops, wrong site. Let's go. All right, test login page. All right. Woo! Whew! God, stressed out. Cool. So we have our sign up, we have our login. We're kind of slowly going through this checklist. So member profiles, that's actually really neat functionality, is the ability for users to manage themselves. And I want my clients to manage myself. I want my users to manage themselves. And same functionality. Essentially, this is going to be Whenever a user clicks on this, they're going to see their member attributes. So that means what plan they're on, their email, reset password is all there. So all you need to do is in the attribute again, MS profile equal true. So that's going to be in our dashboard. Top here, there's a little text block, and there's a span. Come here, MS data, oops, text block. Here we go. Or is it on the whole block? Where is that? MS profile. Nope. On the drop down. Let's go here. Okay. That's weird. Why don't I just set this to MS profile text block? I'll just set this as MS profile equal true. There we go. Let's try that. And I'm sure I've just done a great mistake, Duncan. Let me know if that was the case. So moving through the checklist. Okay, so last thing we kind of need to do here is actually install the header code, and this should you know, kind of wrap this up, should wrap up our functionality here. So let's go ahead and test this out. So I'm just going to copy paste the code. Going to go into dashboard. Oh, that's awesome, Ken. Let me know if there's anything, you know, specific that you want to learn from this. Just updating here. We're setting up the Memberstack functionality. We're almost at the end of the checklist, and we're just kind of using their template. So project settings, custom code, and then I'm just gonna replace that, and I'm gonna remove this chat stuff that comes from Memberstack. So let's do that. And now, if all went well, let's deploy. If it's not, it's on you, man. If it's not working right, it's on you. Okay, so a few things we can kind of, let's just, all done. Can I test? All right. So that really is the, you know, the high level functionality. So let's just go through the motions and see how this would work, right? So I'm going to go into, the first thing I want to check is that if I go into, you know, hidden places where I'm not logged in, I shouldn't have access, right? So theoretically we have, you know, Matt is a specific page that we shouldn't have access to. We shouldn't have anyone, actually we shouldn't have anyone in client areas. We shouldn't have access to that. And we shouldn't have access to client templates. So let me just make sure that that's the case. You see, I still have access to this. Okay, there we go. Just need a hard refresh. So if I come to my home page, client login, I should be able to log in. And I don't have any sign up functionality on this page. So Ken, we're using Webflow, and on top of it, we've added Memberstack. So we've gone through this whole checklist to hide certain content. So yeah. So then I think one thing we're going to need to do is member specific pages. Okay. Yeah, okay, great. Okay, so this is already active, so that's great. And then this folder will contain and hide all of your members' pages. So here we need to set up can we add a new one? Whoop, let's put this here. Okay, so we need to hide slash, where's that slug? Here it is. There we go. Slash clients. So we come here, slash clients, and then access denied. Link to a member's, okay. Then set each member's unique, okay, that's great. Go to your site. So member page. I think this is just like a specific page. Okay, I think we're good to go here. Okay. So let's check this out. We have members. So let's sign up a few members and see what happens in the back end. Okay. So I'm going to go to my sign up page like that. Slash sign up. I'm going to sign myself up to my own thing. Let me know if I'm going too fast, too slow. I'm trying to get through the membership stuff relatively quickly so we can get to, a little more of the fun stuff in the back end. So like that, I agree. Okay. So it brings me to this client area, welcome, and then in the back, if I refresh here, I should have a member, which is myself. That's all good. And then we want to specify a member page, right? So when we think about this, if you're a freelancer, you sign up for that user or whatever you want to do, and then you're going to create a specific CMS page that is theirs. Now, if you have very unique clients, it can be a specific page itself, right? So if you want to create something super, super unique for each one of your clients, you can link them to whatever page you want, as long as it's a hidden page. But what we're going to do is create a template that is good for a lot of our clients that we just kind of personalize based on some services, if that makes sense. Does it? Let me know if that makes sense. So essentially, we are going to link them to a CMS specific page. So we currently have two, so I just want to show you the functionality here. So let's say client 1. Let's call that client 1. There we go. So I'm going to say, acornblit@gmail. All right, green is good. And so in the future, let me go incognito mode. I come here. How's the sound, by the way? I feel like it's a little low. Is that still the case? Let me know. I go into client login. I put my account like that. And then I'm redirected to my dashboard. Okay. So you see here, client 1. So you can imagine I have, I think, 20 or 30 of these depending on the number of clients or whatever. So we're going to be redirecting those clients to this page or that specific client. So every time you have a new client, you come to your dashboard here and you associate that client to their specific page, whether that's a CMS page or anything else. Okay, so we've gone, so we did login registration, hide CMS in Memberstack, add member/clients. So really, if you're just here for like the freelance stuff, how do I build a dashboard, or how do I do the login, that's pretty much it. And we did it under 20 minutes, and I suck at this. So you can probably do this in 10 minutes, which is great. Okay, so I even have like my profile here that I can edit and all that good stuff. So MS profile worked properly. Membership, log out, I can do all that good stuff. Cool. So under 20 minutes, congrats to the Memberstack team for making a product that I can build in under 20 minutes. But now we get to the more fun stuff, what I think is more fun. So now thinking about like, okay, I have 20, 30 clients. I'm a freelancer. How do I show them the information they need from their dashboard? So we're going to be using like a mix of Webflow CMS and my favorite tools like Airtable to show them how this works. So this should be a little better, hopefully. I've just moved the volume up. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is if I go look at my dashboard, what it looks like today, it looks like this. Now it defaults to, let me just do this, settings, tasks. So one thing about Webflow is whatever you publish on, if you have this tabbed menu or whatever, it'll default to that, which is kind of weird, but something you need to know. So we're going to default to tasks. So the first thing, like I've used this personally, what's great is we're going to create a way of embedding the tasks that we're working on for that specific client using Airtable Views. So, this is something that's really cool where, let's say you have a project management tool, whether that's Asana or Airtable or Trello, you can embed a view of the tasks that you're working on for that specific client in their dashboard. In this case, I'm going to use Airtable because I'm an Airtable fanboy, and it has the views functionality. It lets me filter for that specific client, create an embed URL, and then embed that into Webflow, which is great. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to open up Airtable. I can't move too much. Get stuck in my mic. I have a lot of I'm in the wrong Airtable account here. Sorry for going through this. Like that. Yeah, autofill. Still a lot of Airtables, or bases, I should say. So we're going to use task simple. So Airtable, if you're familiar, let me know if you're familiar with Airtable, and I'll know how to quickly I can go here. But usually you have your grid, very simple stuff, very much like Google Sheets. And what I've done is I've created, let's say, assigned or client right here, right? And then we're going to call this clients. And so each client has a set of tasks. Yeah, let me figure that out. The volume. Is this better? Oh, how's that? That should be better. How's that? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Too loud? You're gonna answer me in like 20 seconds, so. Okay, my software telling me it's pretty loud now, so I think we should be good. Okay, so, okay. I think we should be better now. I'm seeing it as like max volume right now, so. Okay, we're in Airtable, and we've essentially have these tasks that we associate to certain clients. I'm actually going to call them client 1, 2, 3. That way we kind of map it to our clients in Webflow. So I have a certain amount of tasks that are for client 1, a certain amount for clients. Oh, shit. Okay, we have this delay, so hopefully it's not too loud anymore. I've put it down a little bit. All right, just a little bit there. Yeah, you can always lower it. You don't necessarily can put it up all the way. So we're gonna live with this now. This is where it's at. So level to here. Cool, so we have certain tasks for each client, right? And what you can do in Airtable, which is really cool, is use the Kanban view. So we have backlog, doing, done. Let's move a few to done. And what we want to create is a specific view that is for every single one of our clients. So I'm going to do it with client 1, and that'll kind of give you an example of what's possible. So let's say I filter where client contains 1. So it's filtering on my client, on that specific client. And then I'm going to save this. I'm going to create a Kanban. And this is going to be client 1 Kanban. And we're going to, by status, there we go. So we're going to filter, do that again, where client contains 1. So this is our filtering for that specific client. And then what's great is we can create an embed, right? So we're creating this embed functionality. And what we want is to embed this view into our Airtable, into our dashboard on Memberstack. That way each client gets a Kanban of their specific view, right? So they can see their tasks, where you're at with their tasks. So let's go ahead and do that. So I come here, I go into settings, and we're just gonna embed this right here. Just copy paste that over. And so we're just gonna copy paste this one example, and then I'll show you how to make it variable for each one of the clients. Save and close. And then, okay, so we have this little issue with the HTML embed where it just takes up a little bit of space. I have some style in place that is div class equal iframe holder / div, like that. Let's do that. And okay, and then we have our embed. Now the challenge right now is that there's no variable in play here. So every one of our clients, theoretically, when they would sign up, would see the tasks of client 1. So we want to add some specificity here, or a variable that we can kind of add to this embed for that specific client. Duncan, if you ever want to learn Airtable, I have this this class called The Essential Guide to Airtable, which is, I've heard, is really good. It's in the comments. So little bit of self-promotion there. What we want to do is essentially, if we look at this code right here, there's this little /embed, which is specific to that view. So what we want to do is make this a field in our CMS. And then for each client, we associate that client to a specific view, and we input it into the Airtable CMS item. So that's a lot of big words to say we're going to do the following. So I come here into my clients, I go to settings, and then I'm going to add a field that is a little bit of plain text. That is the Airtable, I'll call it view ID. How about that? Let's do that. Save, and let's go to client 1. Oops, I need to go specific client. And then we're just gonna take this right here. And honestly, you could take the whole thing as well. Doesn't really matter. I know that this is what changes from one view to another. So let's save that. And then back here, we're gonna, instead of this add field, table view ID, let's save and close. And that didn't work. Why did that not work? Oh, it's because I'm on client 3. It's not supposed to work. We don't have a view for that client. So actually it shows you two things. So we were actually looking at client 3, and if we look at client 1, fingers crossed this works, and it does. So yeah, and that gives us the specific client 1 tasks. And if I'm client 3, I see an error because I haven't set that up. So I'll put it in the chat. Just Google The Essential Guide to Airtable on Udemy and use code YouTube2 to get it at the cheapest price available. So that's the latest code. I'll put it in the comments after the YouTube video. But yeah, Essential Guide to Airtable YouTube2, all in caps. YouTube, all in caps with a 2 after. And that'll give you the cheapest available price. Yeah, excited. Let me know what you think of the class. Awesome. So if we wanted to do client 3, what we do here, we come back here, we create a new Kanban. Same thing, we filter where client contains 3. Oh, we don't. Yeah, we have 3. Okay, great. We save that, and then same thing, create a shareable link. I'm just going to take this right here because I know that's what it is, or I hope that's what it is. Let's just validate. SH, yeah, perfect. So like that, client 3, Airtable view ID, save, come back here, and if all went well, we can see the tasks for client 3. So that was Airtable embed. So did that make sense? Is there any questions around? You can really embed anything from Airtable, so whether that's a calendar, Kanban view, grid view, really, really cool functionality. If you have anything that's specific to a client coming from Airtable, you can embed it in so they can see it right away. So that's really cool. Okay, so where were we? Sorry. Yeah, staging website. Okay, so if you're a web developer, freelancer, this is coming from Duncan from the Memberstack template. It's really cool. If I just move to it, you'll see what I mean. You can actually put an embed of the website you're building, right? So let's just go into here. I go into project, and if we look at this, this is the website that I'm currently building, for instance, for this client. Yeah, I'm Aaron Kornblit. That's me. I built that class like 10 months ago, so I'm not as good behind the camera, or I don't think I am. But the class, people like it. So let me know what you think. Yeah. So yeah, what we want to do is change this embed, right, to something else. And so essentially how this works is just like it's a little embed that comes with the template, and we can really put what we want here. So I have this thing called the useless web, where we can find, take me to a useless website. So this is just a useless website. We're going to put it as the example for that client. So let's do that. Let's just go into my mouse. Actually, while my mouse is acting up, let me. So Barry, if ultimately, like, the question is, what about e-commerce? Will customers be able to track orders or see previous orders? It depends, like, what level of e-commerce you're working with. If it ultimately ends up in Airtable as like a tracking mechanism, you can always embed it. Now, if you're talking like you have thousands of orders and you want to be able to automate like returns, I wouldn't recommend Memberstack plus Airtable. So I wouldn't, this is more of like freelancer. I have a few, 10, 20 clients, and I want to give them the ability to view their stuff there. And if you have a small e-commerce, you can definitely do this. But there are definitely better tools like Shopify and Webflow e-commerce to manage those kinds of things. It's a great, Matthew asks, can we automate the creation of the board when a client gets signed up? No, not to my knowledge. I wish you could, right? So one thing that's really frustrating is there's no way in Zapier to create a view, and I don't think they have it in their API either. Last time I checked, their API is quite limited. Now, when I think about this use case, right, and the specific, like the why I use tasks as an example is you have to go in and create the tasks anyway. And so in that case, like, even if you could automate the copy pasting of the view itself into members into the CMS, you're doing manual work there anyway. Now, I don't know a way to automate the creation of a view. If you do, I'd love to see it, and I'd love to do a live stream on it, because I do think that would be amazing. So opening it up to anyone else who's here, if you know how to automate the creation of a specific view, and then pulling it back into the CMS, that would be the Webflow CMS, that would be awesome. So my mouse is back. Yeah, so similar idea here is if we change this right here, it's going to create another embed. So let's just publish this and see if it works correctly. I come here. All right, project. For some reason, it's still giving me, let's see. Okay, let's publish this again. Yeah, so if it's small e-commerce and you have a way of linking it to Airtable, whether that's manually or through Zapier, or even if you're using like Google Sheets or whatever, you can probably do this. Now, is this the best? Like here, I'm just answering the question from Barry. Like, is this the best stack for you, Webflow plus Memberstack? Probably not. I feel like a Shopify or even Webflow e-commerce is probably built specifically for this, right? Having that ability to view orders. So I wouldn't necessarily say that this build is the perfect one for that. All right, I gotta go on client 1 here. Okay, this doesn't seem to be working at all. I'm not sure why. It was working yesterday. So I might be on a website that I can't iframe. So you know what? I think we're 40 minutes in. I think I'd rather skip the embed of a specific website, if that's okay. If no one protests, it's very similar to what we just did with the Airtable embed, where you just change the URL, you make it into a CMS variable, and you just input it into that embed. I didn't realize while I was doing this yesterday that it's exactly the same thing. So the Airtable API or Zapier Airtable, it's quite limited, which, and you know, what I'll show you in a minute about the Google Sheet backend, is that the Google Sheet Zapier connection is much stronger because they have updates on change. But yeah, I wish the API and Airtable and Zapier were a little more built out. You know, one example is what you mentioned, Matthew, around creating views automatically for each one of our clients. So yeah. Yeah, Barry, give it a try. I mean, they've got a pretty Zapier integration, so go for it. Let me know how it goes. Yeah, okay, let's just continue here. Getting distracted by the chat, which is great. I love the fact that you guys are commenting and letting me know what you want me to build. So let's go into contracts, right? So we want the ability to specify, like, just show that client's contracts, right? And how this is built is two CMS interactions, right? So let's go into here, and you'll notice that I have two contracts, and it is a CMS collection, right? So, and what collection this is it's documents, right? And you can see that here I have the contracts for client 1, and then I've put client here, and I put client 1. I can put client 1 or client 3. And so this right here, so if I look at the settings here, this is a CMS like reference, right? So we're referencing the client CMS for each contract. So what we want to do here, let's say we have this document is client 1, and this document is client 3. Save those changes. What we'd love is that we only see client's 1 contract here, and then if we go to client 3, we only want to see the second contract. So how we do that really simply is by filtering. So we want to not limit items, we want to create a filter, and then we want client equals current client, right? So what that does is that it looks which client we're on, looks up their contract, and then pulls up the right contract for that client. So if I publish that, come back here, refresh, and I have 1 contract that's here. And then if I went into client 3, which I can't because I'm not logged in as client 3, I would see that contract specifically. Does that make sense? And while I ask that, I'm just going to drink some water. So relatively simple, what we did is we have 1 CMS, documents, with a CMS reference to a client. And what we do is we, in our template, CMS collection page, we put that whole CMS, but then just filter on current client because they're linked through that reference. You can do that with assets. You can really do that with any kind of product. Now, a challenge here of like, if you want to automate this where you have your contracts in Airtable, and then you want to send them over to Webflow, that actually might be a challenge for 2 reasons. One is that the link between Airtable and Webflow in Zapier is only on row creation and not on row update. And when you think of how we get clients, usually if you have them in Airtable, you have a certain row before you get a contract. So if you were to put your contract in there, it wouldn't necessarily update. It wouldn't update in Webflow because the creation and the addition of the contract are at 2 different times. So this is going to be a manual step, but if you got a new client, 1 manual step is maybe worth it. And then the second challenge, even if it was on row creation, I'm not even sure that you can pass a document from Airtable to Webflow via Zapier. So I know that there's some issues. If anyone in the chat has tried that, I haven't. The last time I tried it, it didn't work. So maybe that's been an update, but usually transferring files via Zapier is a little bit of a challenge. Oh yeah, you can definitely link to a PDF if you have it hosted somewhere, but the challenge is like the CMS item in Webflow is a drag and drop. So if you have it hosted somewhere, you could definitely do it and then just link to that. But you still have a manual step of putting it somewhere, right? So ultimately, you gotta put it somewhere, man. Gotta put it somewhere. So let's see. Okay, add contracts. Okay, now we're gonna do I would say the risky part of this live stream. I'm like 50-50 on whether this is gonna work. So essentially, what we want to do here is a Google Sheet that controls all of our dashboards. So let's say I've got like 10 clients and each one of them has a spend, a budget, some data. And instead of like clicking onto client 1, client 3 and updating their total spend or their launch date or whatever data I have in my backend, I want to have like a Google Sheet where I can just go and update the data there and it'll automatically update Webflow's CMS. So that's what we're going to try to do. Why it's a little risky is that there's 2 parts to this. One is getting all of your data into a Google Sheet, which isn't easy. And then the second one is we're going to use Zapier the trigger is going to be anytime I update something in Google Sheets, please update it in the Webflow CMS item. And that update, like triggering zaps on update, is always a little finicky. So we're going to try to do this. No problem. It worked yesterday, so I'm going to try to rebuild it and see how we go. So just answering before, like I'm jumping from the questions to the current thing. So the challenge is like if you upload the file into the contract into the Webflow assets or whatever, like you still need to do that manual step. And usually you have that data in Airtable. The idea was to pass it along automatically, but there's a challenge there. So yes, I upload all the videos to YouTube, including past streams. So I think this is 7. Always a mix of Webflow, Airtable, different things. Did a referral marketing one a couple weeks ago. That was really cool. So client dashboard from Google Sheets right here. Awesome. So we want to create a Google Sheet where we have a bunch of data, and we want to be able to change a certain cell and update a CMS item in Webflow. So this one, let's say this is client 3 now. And you know, there's a sync, there's 10,000 here, 10,000 there. What I'd love is if I write 12,000 here, it automatically updates the spend here. So yeah, let's try to do that. There's a few steps here. So I'm just going to show you the zap, I don't know, that we're going to create. Let's do that. Oh man, just let me log in here. Give me a sec. Sorry about this. Usually I have this up and running. Okay. We're almost there. Okay, we're back. All right. So my zaps. All right. So what we want to do is so I don't know how familiar everyone is with Zapier. Essentially, Zapier is glue for your SaaS applications, your applications in the cloud. Something happens somewhere, and then we update data somewhere else. Zapier is what, you know, waits until something happens and then updates the data somewhere else. So when we think of that for what we're doing here is anytime something changes in this Google Sheet, we want to go. So anytime something changes in this Google Sheet, we want to go to Webflow and update a specific CMS item with what's changed. So this is new or updated spreadsheet row in Google Sheets. That's going to be our trigger. Our action is going to be update item in Webflow. So we're going to, like, I think the best way of doing this is going through the challenges here and then trying to figure out how we fix them. So because there's going to be problems. It's a tough one. So essentially, this is relatively easy. What we want to do is whenever something changes, we take all the data in the row and send it to Webflow. So I'll give you an example here. I have this row right here, which I changed yesterday to $10,000. So it says column D is 10,000, 21,000, client 2, and then this CMS ID, right? And then we update an item in Webflow. So choose app is Webflow, update item, account, I logged in. Now, the challenge here, the first challenge we're going to hit is, okay, I know the site, I know what collection, but I need the CMS ID. Now, Webflow makes it crazy difficult to get this CMS ID. If I go into Webflow, unless someone has a good way of finding it, maybe it's right here. Is that it right there? Oh, it's right here. Okay. So I had this whole thing set up where we were going to go into Postman and do an API call to figure out every item in the collection, but I think it's right here. So yes, it is. So let me just validate this. Yeah, okay. So scratch that. It's relatively easy. So if you go into a specific CMS ID or a CMS and you go to item ID in your URL, I don't know if you guys can see this. It allows it's right in the URL. So if I want to find a specific CMS item, what we need to have is in our first column the CMS ID of that item that we want to update, and where we find it is in the URL. Or what you can do is download Postman, ping the API for your site and get all the CMSs or CMS collections you have, and then ping that specific one. That's what we were supposed to do, but it's right here. Yeah, that makes so much sense, Matthew, to store it as a hidden field in Memberstack, right? Because that makes a lot of sense. Well, I was super impressed with myself for downloading Postman yesterday and getting this all up and running, but this is way easier. So let's just go ahead and we take this item ID, which is our client 1. I'm gonna put it here. Now, why is it the same one here? That's weird. Client 1, client 2. So does it not change if I okay, what if I save and then go client 1? Oh, it doesn't seem to be giving me the right ones because it's giving me all of the client IDs. So this is page ID. Let me just check with Postman. This is collection, so this should give me, so this is our CID for client 3. Client 3, yeah, that's the one. Let me check the other one. Okay, this one's now called client 1. So let's just name these appropriately. So that's our CMS ID. Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And then I got it here. I'm just, you know, Matthew, I'm just trying to show off the fact that I did all this work yesterday, you know? So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So let's actually just go that way. So if I look at client 1 and then go into the CMS, there we go. This is this right here. We copy paste that, put into our client dashboard. Okay, and then this is client 3. Oh, no, this is client 1. Oh wait, which one am I viewing, right? So client 1. Oh, but it's here too then. I don't need to go to the CMS. I can just go here. Okay, this is client 3. And then one thing initially that you have to do is kind of copy paste the data manually if you're going down this route. If you're creating CMS items automatically through some kind of form or through row creation, you could then send them to Google Sheets, which is all good. But since we're doing this kind of ad hoc, you do have to first manually copy your current settings. I'm actually going to turn off the Zap while we're doing this because everything I'm doing right now is an update for Zapier. So let's just go into our CMS to get that data. So client 1 starting budget is 1,500. Well, that's total spend. Oops. Okay. So we've put our CMS ID here, name, and you could really put any variables that you want here, as long as you're able to map them to Webflow if you want them to change when you change something here. So let's come here. Let's get in some more samples. Okay, let's see what changed. Okay, so let's try to do this. Let's put spend to 12,000 here. This should be a change when it's saved. So that should be a change. Let's try to get more samples here. Okay, 12,000. So we see it right here. Every time I do update on Google Sheet change, I get a little stressed out because it's very, very finicky, but I think this should be okay. So we're going to take this as our data. And then what we want is step 2 to update data, customize item, there we go, update data in Webflow. So I've got my website, which is client dashboard, collection, which is clients, this one right here. And then CMS ID comes from step 1. So I'm gonna remove this just to show you. It comes from step 1, CMS ID. And then it will be, Martin, it will be in the YouTube channel. So the second this is done, it's on YouTube. So you can watch it tonight, later, over the weekend, whenever you want. Okay, and so essentially what we're doing here is we're then re-inputting the variables, the mapping of the variables that we want to change, right? So starting budget, we want to get it from step 1, which is the row that just changed. So we want this variable right here with this data point. And then total spend, name, and that's why I have name coming from, because it's a required field in Webflow, we have to map it to something in that every required field has to be in your Google Sheets because Zapier won't run it unless it has all of the required fields from Webflow. So even if you're never going to change that client's name, it still has to be in your Google Sheet. So every single required field item or field in CMS, in your Webflow CMS, has to be mirrored in your Google Sheet. So just a tip, I learned that the hard way yesterday. So continue, let's test this out. So essentially all we want is that, so we want to retest. I want to see what the, oh no, CMS item not found. Okay, let's try that again. So we're doing this one, and this one is client 1. And then if I go into client 1, whoops, and then take this right here. Okay, I must have pasted it wrong somehow. It seems to have changed. So let's just try that again. Let's refresh. Let's get this right here. Okay. Stressed out about this. Let's see. 50-50. Okay. And then, so what we actually changed now is the CMS ID, hopefully. Let's continue. Continue. Okay, that seemed to have changed. Let's just for, all right. Not that that matters. Let's try that. Okay. All right. Oh, I think I have the wrong, 1 second. Does that make sense? Customize item. So did it work? Is what I'm wondering. So if I go to, I'm just gonna refresh. Has this site been published? Yes, I think it has. So I might have to remap them. So I'm 19 minutes ago, so I definitely did. Let's just check if it updated though. All right, 12,000, it did. So even if we updated the fields, they weren't required. So I did add Airtable View ID. So probably that wasn't caught in Zapier, but it did update the total spend for client 1, right? So client 1, 12,000, and it updated it here. Now, word of caution here, I wouldn't go gung-ho on, just changing things here and hoping they update in Webflow. What I recommend is having a column that is like ready to update, that you change when you want to update the whole row. So what you do is instead here, your trigger column should be one of the rows, and one of the rows should be please update now. And you change that when you're ready for the data to update, and it'll trigger for each row where you've changed that value. So if it's 5 columns, you just go yes, 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 or change it to anything else, and then it'll run for those 5 columns. I don't do it live because the trigger is not instantaneous, so I don't want to make you guys wait. But that is how you would do it. So essentially in the future, like if you have 10 clients and you're getting your spend data from whatever, from QuickBooks, Stripe, whatever, you can just update the total spend, or just from your billing, I guess, from the hours you've spent working for that client, you can just update it here. And yeah, you're kind of good to go. So we didn't do this. We didn't need to do this, which is awesome. And we created the Zap. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to show you today. So, just kind of taking a minute here to check out what we did. We went from a website that had no login to a dashboard, right? So we have our tasks. We added our tasks from Airtable through the embed. And then we skipped the project stuff. We went directly to contract. So we not filtered, but we're showing each client their specific contract, which we did through the Webflow CMS and the reference field. And then we created this very simple backend, if you will, for updating everything in Webflow using Zapier and Google Sheets. So did I miss anything? And yeah, we did Memberstack. So Memberstack is working. Airtable embed. There we go. Yeah, that's it for today. I'm gonna stay on for a couple minutes. If anyone has any questions or thoughts, I'd love to know what we can do better. If you have any ideas of what I should do next week, now is a great time. Yeah, I'll just put in, like, you can follow me, I guess, on Twitter. That's my Twitter handle. And yeah, I'll put a bunch of, I read a newsletter every week on automation, Cool. So thanks for joining. And hopefully you had fun. And I'm just going to stay in silence here for a couple minutes, wait for your questions. See, I'm not sure if there's a delay or there are no questions. I'm pretty sure there's a delay, but there might be no questions or thoughts or comments or whatever. No one gets to the end of the live stream anyway. Thank you, Duncan. I appreciate it. This was fun. We'll do some more advanced stuff soon enough. Thanks, Matthew. I feel like you're almost better at me than this. So I'd love to see what you're building. I'd love to see one of your builds and then use it on one of the live streams. Yeah, so I'm a Notion user. I don't like it for any automation stuff because they have no API, they have no external integrations. I mainly use it for this stuff, right? So I use Notion for public-facing roadmap for every one of the live streams. I don't know if Notion, like, I think people, I don't know how they're going to do it. I think people keep thinking Notion will make a great backend for different stuff. I'm not sure because of how they're structured. I'm waiting for it to see. Like, I love Notion for documentation internally. So I take all my notes in Notion. Every client meeting, every meeting I have is in Notion. And then I reuse it and create kind of documentation for a lot of decisions that we make. And it's really simple in that way. Now, I know a few people who really like it for putting data in there as well. But I don't know how they're gonna make it, whether they're gonna go down the route of like we're an Airtable competitor, or are we a Asana or Trello competitor, or are we an Evernote replacement? I'm not sure. I'm curious to see. So hopefully they'll fix their search first and then work on their API and Zapier app. They've been talking about it for a while, so I'm curious to see. All right, guys, I have both of you on Twitter, so let's just move the conversation there. Thanks for joining. I'll see you same time next week. And until then, automate all the things, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.